And then there's Candace Parker, a legend in the WNBA, who now on her podcast peeled back the curtain in a compare and contrast between Adam Silver and Cathy Engelbert. And I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well for Cathy. And it doesn't go well for Cathy. And it might be sort of the nail in the coffin.
Okay, this is wild. It looks like Candace Parker just stepped up and did what no one else in the WNBA dared to do. She spoke her mind about Cathy Engelbert. And get this, the fallout from her comments could actually spell the end for Cathy as commissioner. So before we dive deep, I gotta ask you, was Candace out of line for calling out the league's own boss, or was she just saying what literally everyone else was already thinking? Let's jump into this whole mess. It all kicked off during a recent episode of the Post Moves podcast with Candace and Aja Boston. The planned topic was leadership in women's basketball, but Candace quickly turned that conversation into a brutal, honest mirror for the entire league.
What was interesting was the amount of players that came to the defense of Fee and the crickets that came to the defense of Cathy for me. Adam Silver is Cathy's boss, and he is the commissioner of the NBA. I signed a deal with Amazon to broadcast for Amazon. I got a text from Adam Silver saying congratulations. I had my third child. I got a text from Adam Silver about my third child. Now, whether this is Adam or his assistant, somebody from the league office is reaching out to me. I got a baby gift for my third child. I get a Christmas gift from Adam Silver every year. I retired. Adam Silver sent me a text message that basically congratulated me on my career and how much I've done for the women's game, and he looked forward to how much I'm gonna do from the sideline. I have not heard from Cathy. I saw Cathy in Phoenix after I had been retired for 4 months at Phoenix All-Star Game, and she said congratulations in person. And that was the only time. And so you've heard other players, Sabrina and Ionescu alluded to this, I have a better relationship with Adam Silver than I do Cathy. My 2 jersey retirements, there was no Cathy.
Yeah.
So I think that Adam Silver understands the process. I don't know if he understood that Cathy was not doing that either.
Then she started drawing direct comparisons between Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, and Cathy Engelbert, who heads the WNBA. And let me tell you, Cathy did not come out looking good. Candace laid out a super simple story, but it spoke volume. When she inked her huge broadcasting deal with Amazon, Adam Silver personally texted her to congratulate her. When she had her third child, Adam reached out again, sent a message, even a baby gift. And when she retired, another personal message from Silver himself, thanking her for everything and saying he was excited for her next chapter. But here's the kicker, the part that makes this whole thing wild. Candace paused and with a stone-cold expression said, "I've never gotten that kind of message or anything close from Cathy Engelbert." Boom. That one line sent shockwaves through the entire basketball world. Crystal clear, wasn't it?
That the women in this league expect this kind of thing. Should they? That's another argument. Maybe not. But the problem is when the commissioner of another league is fulfilling a role and your actual commissioner is not, that's where the perception is all jacked up. And it causes a real problem here.
You have to understand, this wasn't some rookie player just venting on social media. This was Candace Parker, a Hall of Famer, a Finals MVP, a 2-time league MVP, and arguably the biggest reason the WNBA even has mainstream coverage today. When a legend like that speaks, you better believe people listen. And here's what made it so powerful. She wasn't yelling or getting emotional. She was calm, almost too calm. And that just made her words sting even harder. Candace clarified that this wasn't just about personal gifts or texts. It was about fundamental respect and connection. As she put it, leadership starts with relationships. If the NBA is our blueprint, then we've got to follow it from top to bottom. And honestly, she's absolutely spot on.
That's big. I mean, look, and obviously, Adam's only going to do that for, I'm sure, certain players, right, of a certain stature level. But he was aware enough to know that Candace Parker was one of the greatest players they ever had in the league and made a point to have some kind of relationship. Again, she even acknowledged some of that might have been an assistant. but he was aware of what was going on and made it.
Candace also made a crucial point. The NBA exploded because leaders like David Stern and Adam Silver understood that star players are the product. They invested in them, hyped them up, and forged genuine personal connections. Cathy Engelbert, however, she seems to be doing the complete opposite, treating her absolute best players like total strangers. Candace's co-host, Aja Boston, barely had to say a word. You could see the agreement written all over her face. And get this, Candace's revelations didn't stop there. She dropped another bomb, mentioning that Sabrina Ionescu and Elena Donne had identical experiences, admitting they actually have better relationships with Adam Silver than with their own WNBA commissioner. Let that sink in for a second. The NBA commissioner, a man running an entirely different, massive league, has more personal contact with WNBA stars than their own commissioner. Seriously, that's like your actual boss never checking in on you, but the CEO from a rival company sends you a Christmas card every single year. It's just wild.
It's not a good look. It's not. I'm not going to lie to you. If I was commissioner, yeah, you best believe I'm going to have some kind of a back and forth with at least my top 10%.
Look, it's a terrible look. Candace detailed how she consistently received thoughtful messages and even yearly gifts from Adam Silver, yet heard absolutely nothing from Cathy Engelbert, even during huge career milestones like jersey retirements. She literally said, "I retire." Adam Silver texted me personally. I didn't hear a word from Cathy. She eventually saw Engelbert months later at an All-Star weekend, and all she got was a casual congratulations. That was it. And the crazy part? Candace isn't Elena Donne confirmed she heard nothing from Cathy upon her retirement, and Sabrina Ionescu had similar experiences during her major milestones. A clear, unflattering pattern is definitely forming here. Even if Cathy had no ill intent, perception is everything. Leadership demands presence. It's about making your people feel seen and valued for their hard work, and according to Candace, that presence is just not there. This is a huge deal because the WNBA isn't some massive sprawling organization. We're talking about only 44 players. That's a tiny number. If the commissioner genuinely wanted to build personal connections with, say, the top 20 or so players, she absolutely could. Adam Silver, on the other hand, runs a league of 450 players, manages the G League, and handles international deals, and he still finds the time. So, what exactly is Cathy's excuse? And let's be honest, this isn't Cathy Engelbert's first time under intense scrutiny. Just weeks ago, Tyara McCowan reportedly blasted her in exit interviews, accusing Cathy of suggesting Caitlin Clark should be grateful for the WNBA platform, implying she wouldn't be making millions otherwise. Cathy denied it, but the damage was done. Now, with Candace's comments piling on, it feels like strike two for Cathy. This isn't just some minor gripe. This is arguably the league's most respected voice stating directly, "Our commissioner doesn't care about us." And here's where it gets even worse. Candace's comments landed smack in the middle of escalating tension between players and league leadership. The collective bargaining agreement is on the horizon, and players are already frustrated about salaries, travel conditions, and decision-making processes. You throw in a commissioner that no one feels connected to, and you've got a recipe for chaos. Even Adam Silver himself publicly acknowledged that the WNBA's issues aren't just about money. He specifically said, "There are relationship issues that need to be fixed." That's corporate speak for, "the players don't trust the boss," and that's exactly what Candace's podcast confirmed. She highlighted a crucial lack of alignment in the league. That word might sound simple, but in sports, it means everything. It means players, coaches, owners, and management are all pulling in the same direction, sharing a unified vision. Candace made it undeniably clear, the WNBA doesn't have that alignment right now, and it starts right at the very top. Look, Cathy Engelbert is a skilled businesswoman. She came from Deloitte, a multi-billion-dollar corporation, so she knows how to run a company. But a sports league isn't just a company, it's a vibrant community built on relationships, raw emotion, and shared culture, and that's precisely where she's falling short. Players like Candace don't want empty corporate slogans. They want someone who truly understands what it means to be a player in this league. Someone who's in the locker room, who shows up when they retire, who celebrates their major milestone. Candace even emphasized she isn't asking for special treatment. She's simply asking for the kind of basic respect that's standard practice in the NBA. When Adam Silver sends a text, it's not because he's obligated, it's because he wants to. It demonstrates awareness and connection. When Cathy remains silent, it screams detachment. And the difference between awareness and detachment is ultimately the difference between loyalty and festering resentment. Candace closed that segment with a line that could haunt Cathy for years. "I have a better relationship with Adam Silver than I do with my own commissioner." That single soundbite alone could very well be the nail in Cathy's career coffin, because once players unite around that feeling, it's game over. You simply cannot lead people who don't trust you, especially when those people have podcasts, millions of followers, and direct access to fans. Right now, the WNBA's biggest stars are essentially telling the world they have no faith in their current leadership. Candace didn't even need to explicitly call for Cathy's resignation. Her words did all the heavy lifting on their own. And here's what's even more crucial. This doesn't feel like some knee-jerk emotional reaction. This feels like a slow, deliberate buildup. For years, players have felt that Cathy's focus was squarely on corporate sponsors and TV deals, not on genuine player relationships. Now, with social media empowering athletes with direct voices, that simmering frustration is finally boiling over publicly. It's no longer whispers behind the scenes, it's front-page news, and Candace Parker's immense credibility makes it absolutely impossible to dismiss. When a player with 2 decades of unparalleled respect in the league says her commissioner is disconnected, people believe her, especially when she's backed up by names like Sabrina, Elena, Delle, Donne, and Tierra McCowan, all echoing the same sentiment in different ways. So where does this leave Cathy Engelbert? She's now squarely facing a massive perception crisis. Even if she attempts damage control, the harm might already be irreparable, because perception, especially in the world of sports, is everything. Once fans and players alike believe you're completely out of touch, winning them back is an almost impossible task, and that's exactly the hole Cathy's dug herself into right now. Candace didn't attack her character or question her work ethic, she questioned her connection, and for a leader in sports, that is a death sentence. When the people you lead don't feel seen, they stop following, and that's precisely the direction the WNBA is heading. So now that Candace has bravely said what desperately needed to be said, let's zoom out and talk about the bigger picture, because this isn't just about one commissioner. This is about how truly bad leadership can absolutely tank momentum in a league that's finally starting to explode. The WNBA is in the middle of its biggest moment ever. Ticket sales, viewership numbers, social media buzz, everything is at record highs, largely thanks to incredible players like Caitlin Clark, Aja Wilson, Angel Reese, and yes, Candace Parker herself. But instead of expertly riding that massive wave, Cathy Engelbert appears to be completely losing control of it. Her consistent silence on major issues has become her brand. Fans noticed it during the heated Caitlin Clark controversy when the league noticeably failed to defend her after those rough fouls and cheap shots. Then she remained conspicuously quiet again when players publicly started calling out referees for inconsistent calls. Every single time a major issue hits the WNBA, Cathy disappears. It's becoming her signature move, and that's exactly why Candace's comments hit so incredibly hard, because they confirmed what fans and players were already suspecting. The WNBA's biggest problem isn't a lack of exposure or money, it's leadership. Even Adam Silver seems to know it, having recently commented that the tension between players and the league has become personal. When your boss's boss is publicly highlighting that, you know things are not good. But here's the kicker, the players aren't just complaining, they're actually offering clear solutions. Candace literally handed Cathy the roadmap during that podcast. She emphasized that the NBA should be the blueprint, which means build genuine relationships, actively recognize your stars, and treat players like true partners, not just employees. Those 3 steps alone could fundamentally transform the league's entire tone. Instead, Cathy has effectively built a wall between herself and her players. Candace pointed out that even small gestures truly matter, and she's absolutely right. Adam Silver sending a baby gift or congratulatory message might seem minor, but it builds immense goodwill. It makes players feel valued far beyond their stats and contract numbers. Cathy, conversely, has shown none of that personal connection. You'd think she'd make an effort to reach out to Candace Parker, a player who has quite literally helped define the WNBA for 2 decades. but she didn't, and that deafening silence speaks volumes. It's like a teacher not bothering to show up for your graduation. Sure, you still graduate, but it feels incredibly hollow. Candace's powerful story proves one thing with absolute clarity: the WNBA has definitively outgrown Cathy Engelbert's leadership style. She arrived as a corporate reformer primarily focused on partnerships, sponsors, and brand growth. And yes, she's achieved some positive things in those areas, but the league is fundamentally different now. It's emotional, it's deeply personal, and it's driven by players with enormous public voices. You simply cannot lead that kind of vibrant, evolving movement with just spreadsheets and quarterly reports. You lead it by being present. That's what Adam Silver intuitively understands, and what Cathy regrettably does not. Even when Adam has to deliver tough news, players still respect him because he's accessible. Cathy, not so much. Players don't even know what she genuinely stands for anymore. And now that Candace, one of the most revered voices in the game, has publicly laid all this out, that profound disconnect is simply impossible to hide. This might honestly be the unequivocal beginning of the end for Cathy Engelbert as WNBA Commissioner, because here's what's likely coming next. More players are going to start speaking up. Once one legend bravely opens the door, the rest often follow suit. Expect names like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, and Skylar Diggins-Smith to start sharing eerily similar stories. Once that cascade happens, it's truly over. The owners and sponsors will inevitably lose confidence, and Adam Silver will have no alternative but to step in. And honestly, that might actually be a positive development. The WNBA is finally receiving the kind of widespread attention it has always deserved, but it urgently needs a leader who can not only handle that intense spotlight, but truly understand that connecting with players is just as critical as boosting profit. Candace Parker didn't attack Cathy Engelbert to create drama. She did it to force a long overdue, essential conversation. Because if players don't feel seen, deeply appreciated, or truly respected, they will never give their absolute best. And let me tell you, fans will absolutely notice. Candace's incredibly calm and measured tone made her words even more potent. She didn't need to shout, she didn't need to accuse, she simply laid out the cold hard facts and let the truth speak for itself. And that, my friends, is precisely why it hit so incredibly hard. So when future documentaries recount this pivotal turning point in WNBA history, do not be surprised if they pinpoint this moment. It all started when Candace Parker called out Cathy Engelbert on that podcast. Because in that instant, the balance of power shifted. Players stopped passively waiting for Cathy to connect and began demanding a commissioner who actually listens. So there you have it. Candace Parker didn't scream, she didn't rant, but her calm, undeniable honesty might have just ended Cathy Engelbert's time at the top. What do you honestly think? Should Adam Silver take over the WNBA, or can Cathy somehow turn this massive ship around? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives like this.